What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats of every one of the weapons in Black Ops Cold War's multiplayer. And in today's episode, we're going to be covering the new sniper rifle. This is the Swiss K31. And first up, as always, let's have a look at our damage, or more specifically, our one-hit kill areas. And as you can see here, the Swiss K31 is the worst in the sniper category. You have to hit the upper torso. It's actually like they cut the upper torso hitbox in half here. And therefore, this thing is just going to be a hit marker machine until you get the Tiger Team barrel unlocked. Now, this is the final barrel unlock, and when you use this on the Swiss K31, you now match the Pellington and the M82's one-hit kill area when they're using the Tiger Team barrel as well. So this includes the upper arm, so elbow up, and the full upper torso multiplier, as well as, of course, the neck and the head. So I can tell you guys straight up at the beginning here, this gun is kind of terrible until you get the Tiger Team barrel, and then it's suddenly quite amazing. But moving on to the next stat I wanted to have a look at here, this is rate of fire, and the Swiss K31 has the best rate of fire out of any of the bolt-action sniper rifles at 60 rounds per minute, which is amazing for the quick scopers out there. You can get those follow-up shots off really quickly for dealing with multiple enemies. As for our bullet velocity, we've actually got a pretty solid bullet velocity compared to most of the sniper rifles at 700 meters per second. This is only beat out by the ZRG 20mm. Then taking a look at our reload add time, this is 2.15 seconds, which is fairly standard for a sniper rifle with a detachable magazine. And you can see all of the different reload times there as well for the different magazine attachments that you can use in the game. It's also worth noting for the hardcore quickscopers out there that try to get those crazy kill feeds, you actually have a solid base magazine capacity of 6 rounds, and you can bump that all the way up to 10 rounds, which is amazing for that. Next up, one of the most important stats for a sniper rifle is the aim down sight time, and with the Swiss K31, we have a 600 millisecond aim down sight time, which is right in between the Pellington and the Tundra. Then when it comes to our sprint out time, our actual in-game experience sprint out time is 450 milliseconds, which means we never really have to worry about this because our aim down sight time is always going to exceed our sprint out time, and therefore sprint out will only apply if you're hip firing while coming out of sprint, which you should very rarely be doing with a sniper rifle. Now, getting into the next set of stats, this is our movement speeds, which are all just standard for sniper rifles. Our base movement speed is 95%, our sprint movement speed is 134%, and our aim down sight movement speed is quite slow at 30%. Then when it comes to hipfire, we've got the same hipfire spread as all of the other sniper rifles, and that means you just shouldn't be hipfiring with this gun if you can avoid it, unless you happen to be using like a 5 milliwatt laser. And even then, hipfiring should be more of a last resort type of a thing. Now, moving on to our idle sway, as we can see here, we don't have a ton of idle sway as far as magnitude goes. My optic stays directly on the torso of this target at 30 meters, just fine. But the thing with the idle sway on this gun is it's very fast moving. It will be swaying around quite quickly, and that's something to definitely be aware of. Another thing to look at while aiming down sight is our field of view within the optic itself. How big is that viewing window? And it turns out it's actually tied with the M82 as having the smallest viewing window. And that is something that may limit you in some situations. Overall though, like if you're using this as a quickscoping sniper rifle, which is what it's designed for, it's really not that big of a deal because you likely won't be sitting there hard scoping for very long anyway. And with that, that pretty much covers it for all of the important stats of the Swiss K31 sniper rifle. As for my thoughts on this gun, like I said at the beginning, I think this is terrible until you unlock the Tiger Team barrel. I actually found it so frustrating to use this in multiplayer before unlocking that barrel that I decided to just go into zombies and finish leveling it up until I got the Tiger Team unlocked. And then as soon as I got that unlocked, this is now the best quickscoping sniper rifle in the game, in my opinion. Yes, you'll get a few more hit markers than you would with the Tundra, but if you can deal with that and just keep your sights up a little bit higher for those upper torso shots, this thing has the fastest rate of fire out of any of the bolt-action sniper rifles. It's got a better aim down sight time than the Tundra at least, not quite as good as the Pellington though. But one of the big upsides of using this over the Pellington is you have a detachable magazine, so reloading an entire magazine is a lot faster. You've got a bigger magazine capacity, which is great. And you get a noticeably faster fire rate, which means if you are quickscoping and dealing with multiple enemies, this is going to be your best bet. One last thing I wanted to mention with this that I really like about this gun that's somewhat subjective is the default reticle if you're just using the standard scope. I love that reticle. I think it's so clean, and I honestly feel like it helps me hit shots more consistently. So that's another big positive, but like I said, that part is fairly subjective. And with that, now let's dive into what I consider to be the best attachment combination for this gun. I'm just going to show one because this gun is really specialized for quickscoping, and this build I'm going to share for you guys is, at least in my opinion, the best quickscoping setup you can use with this gun, and possibly the best quickscoping setup in the entire game right now. So with this, we're going to use the standard stabilizer just to help with that idle sway a little bit, so you should never really have to hold your breath unless you're trying to pick a target off that's using cover effectively at really long ranges. Then, of course, we're using the Tiger Team barrel. This is an absolute must-have on this gun. I feel like this gun is terrible without it. Then after that, we got the 5mm laser, just in case we get into one of those close quarter situations where you don't have time to aim down sight, but you could hip fire against them. I like using it for that, but I do consider this attachment to be sort of a floater. So this is the kind of thing where if you want to swap that for a mounted flashlight, that would be fine, or maybe one of the stocks, you could easily do that and you would be just fine as well. Then I've got the standard 8-round magazine, and the reason I like using this is 8 rounds in a bolt-action sniper rifle is a lot, and I also don't want to hurt my aim down sight time at all. And as we get into the other magazines, like the 10-round magazine or the 9-round magazine, these ones are going to be hurting your aim down sight time, and we want to avoid that at all costs. Speaking of aim down sight time, this brings us into our final attachment, which is the airborne elastic wrap. And with this one, the obvious reason for using it is it gives us the best boost to our aim down sight time, which is great, but we also get that flinch resistance, which makes it even easier to land those quickscopes on people that are pumping rounds into you, as frustrating as it's going to be from their perspective. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the Swiss K31. As always, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about this gun? Do you really like the sniper rifle, or do you hate it? And if you do hate it and haven't tried the Tiger Team barrel yet, I would recommend going into zombies to rank this up so you get the Tiger Team barrel unlocked, and then give it another shot. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. Now, if you guys have missed any of the other episodes of Gun Guides, including the new PPSH41, I will of course leave a link to the playlist in the description down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.